those investors aren't going to be sold a deal. That's not what's going to get them to have confidence, nor should it, investing in the markets. What's going to get them to invest in the private markets is someone that they know, like, and trust, that pulls them with them, that's experienced, has those relationships with the operator.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Wealth Unfiltered. I'm Samantha Parinello, and this week we have the founder and CEO of TribeVest. It is a capital raising platform that allows investors to pull their capital together and invest. So I'd like to welcome to the show, Travis Smith. Hi.
Hey, Samantha. So good to see you again. Thanks for having me on the show.
Absolutely. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy week. I appreciate it.
It is my pleasure to be here. Thanks again.
Absolutely. So last week, I actually had the pleasure of sitting down in person with you in New York City, and I learned not only a lot more about you, because we have an existing relationship as you work closely with Viking and specifically my husband, but I learned a lot more about your origin story and about, the evolution of your company. So I would really love for you to take us back to what inspired you to, create TribeVest and then how it's evolved over time.
For sure. Yes. It was great to spend time with you and Chris in New York. And I had a meeting at 10 o'clock the next morning, and I was still a little sleepy, I have to say, after the big dinner. But I just thought about you and Chris catching your flight at 3 a.m. And that was all the motivation I needed to say, you know what? I'm all right. I'm all right. But anyway, glad to see you again here. And thanks for the question. So TribeVest origin stories really goes back 15 plus years. If we go back to the Great Recession, my brothers and I were trying to figure out how to build wealth. We were doing what most people do, which is trade time for money. And we were pretty good at that. We made good money, but we were realizing that was limiting. It was limiting. And everybody we saw that was building wealth and finding freedom were business owners or real estate investors, or most likely both. And that's what we wanted to do. So we came together, and we'll talk about this, but it's hard to break in to real estate for a number of reasons. But one way that we were going to overcome those obstacles, and the big one, kind of lack of capital, was for my brothers and I to come together as a group, open up a bank account, and start pulling capital together so we could invest. And we would have never been able to do that. We would have never invested in these things on our own. We would have never achieved the portfolio we've achieved if we didn't do it as a group and we didn't come together as a group. So that was really the origins of it. And over the years, people started asking us, hey, how are you guys participating in all these deals? And that's when I was pretty sure we needed to find a way to bring what is today's platform, the TribeVest platform, to the world.
Absolutely. No, I think, like you're saying, it's something that resonates with a lot of people. It's a story that a lot of people have gone through. I just don't have quite enough, or the minimums are just too high, or I want to have more of diversification in my portfolio. So I don't just want to buy one house or one apartment building. I really want to be able to kind of have that safety and less risk. So I think when you think about what TribeVest provides for people, let's talk a little bit about what the company truly does and what kind of problems it solves for people.
For sure. For my brothers and I, we were the end investors, and we'll talk about the evolution of TribeVest and where we are today. And it really touches multiple stakeholders in the ecosystem, but it's always good to start at the end investor, right? And that was my brothers and I. We were trying to figure out how to invest in private deals, how to invest in real estate. And the other thing I'll just point out, when you were talking about real estate investors, I always want to just take a step back and talk about there's an operator or a GP, and they're very active. That's active investing, meaning they're running a business, right? The real estate is the asset, but they have a business, they're running it, and there's a lot of responsibility around it. Most of us cut our teeth in real estate, kind of doing a single family rental, for example, but you're dealing with termites and tenants and toilets and all those things. So my brothers and I started there, and we realized, man, this is amazing. All the benefits that come with real estate. We can really build wealth doing this. But we all realized we did not want to be the operator.
Right.
And we wanted to become the LP, or the passive investor in these deals. So it's just the business model that we decided to do. And really, our biggest challenge was we weren't networked. We didn't have a connection to awesome operators like Viking. We didn't know, we weren't in a country club where we were getting connected to these deals. So one of the initial big challenges for people trying to get into private investing and in private real estate deals is you have to kind of navigate your way and find these deals. And that's hard. Why? Because the way our system's built right now is you actually, the operators with the deals can't market it publicly. Right. So, how do you connect these investors that are looking for deals to build wealth with these operators that are also looking to work with these investors to bring value and scale to their business? And that was really, one of the big things that we had to overcome. And by coming together, we really extended our network. I was in California at the time and networking out there to find GPs and operators and syndicators. My brother was in Massachusetts and my other brother was in Indiana. And so together we finally navigated to be able to uncover, these operators that we wanted to build relationships with and invest in their deals.
Let's talk to the audience who doesn't know who TribeVest is or what they do. Can you kind of break down what the company does for investors?
You bet. As I mentioned, my brothers and I, we really started just group investing. And that's what TribeVest was originally, was this all-in-one place. And if you think about what it takes to group invest, right? You need a bank account. You need to manage your cap table, usually in spreadsheets. You need to have K1s and taxes, bookkeeping, distributions, communications, your legal documents. You need to have compliance and registered agents. You need to file your reporting in the state that you have your LLC. Just doing a partnership, an LLC on its own, it's just very antiquated and very often a non-starter. That's where TribeVest started. TribeVest really started with a all-in-one place where you could come and group invest with transparency for all the people that were in your group. Now, what are we doing today, right? So what we've learned is there's a whole industry of people out there that are looking to do group investing as a service. And we'll talk more about this, but be appropriately compensated for the value they bring to their group. And so today we've taken that group investing platform one step further, and we wrap around all the legal and the compliance so that these fund managers, these champions, these capital aggregators can pull their network together, pull their capital, and help all their network invest in the best deals in the world and appropriately get compensated and compliantly get compensated, which is always kind of a tricky thing in this industry. So in a nutshell, we help fund managers, these capital aggregators, professionally, compliantly, and appropriately build their fund to fund and get compensated in a compliant and appropriate way.
Absolutely. So how do you feel like the process is for people? Do you feel, because I know that's one thing I would say that most people, when they get started, they're like, okay, great. This sounds like a really great idea. Right. And then there's so many pieces to it. So maybe you can explain how you guys streamline the process to make it where there is less for them to do. What responsibilities you all really take off their plate?
For sure. For sure. Yes. And if you think about what we're doing, right? So we have taken what is normally available to institutions, right? So to do this, you're actually forming a fund of fund. And I'll talk a lot about what goes into that. But traditionally, to build a fund, it's tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. And you need to know which professionals to work with. You need your banking infrastructure. You need admin, and you need to be able to do the administration of this. So we're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars, lots of resources, a staff, a team, an organization in order to do this. So that's been available, but now with TribeVest as a technology, what was only available to those institutions and for really big kind of fundraisers, TribeVest brings it down to the individual, into the independent, making it super turnkey. So what was, say, $50,000 to do your offering docs, we do it for five, like a tenth of the cost. The banking is all in our technology, the cap table, the document management, the compliance, the 506C filing, and then all the ongoing work that goes with this. So doing distributions for your investors, having a platform to do communications in a transparent way, the K1s and taxes. So all those things that would have made forming a fund of fund a non-starter, we've taken away because now it's affordable, it's fast, you can spin this up in 5 days, and it's completely turnkey. So once you've done your fund, it's almost like set it and forget it because TribeVest is doing all the ongoing compliance and maintenance and everything else. So if you think about what that opens up, what before took, maybe 6 weeks and $50,000 to get started and probably over $10,000 a year, now TribeVest does it for $5,000, $2,000 a year, and you can spin it up in 5 days. So in 5 days, you can be pulling this capital together and participating in a deal. It's been just a complete game changer for the industry.
For somebody who, like you were mentioning, who this is part of what they do, they're a fund manager, they're a part of multiple sponsors or, different deal sets. Once they've done this once with you, is it the same amount of work to do it again, or does that help minimize what they have to do moving forward?
Yeah, great question. We think of our technology as transparent and progressive, meaning, the more you use it, the easier it becomes. So we love the word leverage. So once you've done this once, you've set it up, you can come in and the process is even streamlined even more. And then if you take that one step further down to the fund managers, investors, same thing. Once they've kind of done one deal with the fund manager or the fund of fund, next time they on board and participate in a fund of fund for a target deal, it's even more streamlined. And again, just, how do we leverage everything we've done for you in the past and, streamline things in the future?
And how do you feel that participating, like as an individual investor in a tribe, is beneficial for like the individual investor?
Yeah, it's a great question. So, we have hundreds, if not thousands, of these fund managers, these independent capital aggregators, right? These are the people that are the super connectors. They are the ones that have formed the relationships with syndicators like Viking. They've gotten to know them operationally, personally. They've done the due diligence on their track record and have taken the time to form that relationship, do the due diligence with the lead sponsor. That is the number one rule for investing in the private markets, right? It's less about the deal and much more about finding and getting to know the best operators. So those capital aggregators, these fund managers, these capital raisers have done that work. Okay. And they've found those operators that they're actually investing in themselves. Now, the value they bring is they have a network of colleagues, friends, family that want to invest in deals, but as we talked about at the opening, don't have access to those deals. And there lies the connector, right? That connector, let's call him Dylan, has this network. He's already worked with the operator, proven operator, and now he can bring those investors in his network to this deal through a fund to fund and with the help of TribeVest. So getting back to your question, what TribeVest does, and it's less about what TribeVest does, but more about how our platform and infrastructure is being leveraged, because really it's the fund manager, it's the capital aggregator that's doing it. But they're pulling with them these investors that would have never found or even known about this deal and certainly wouldn't have invested in it without this capital aggregator, this fund manager, this super connector. So that's the biggest thing is, we have tens of thousands of investors that would have never participated in these deals without TribeVest, or more specifically, without these capital aggregators, these super connectors using TribeVest to help them participate and build wealth like the wealthy.
What do you feel like, or what do you believe is the thing that sets TribeVest apart from competitors?
It's really the fun thing about being a software technology startup. Although we've been around for 5 years and have, over $200 million of capital and what is assets under management for our fund managers and capital aggregators. But, we are a startup. We're proud to be one because we're innovating. We are, finding a problem in the market and we're solving it. And we're solving it because it hasn't been solved before. And so we really don't have a direct competition. But if I was to kind of say, what is our unique differentiator? It's a few things. Number one, we are a neutral third party. And what that means is we aren't building a marketplace. We aren't selling anything. We really are an enabler of the fund manager to build a business, right? And that's what we're doing here. We're helping that fund manager, that super connector, that capital aggregator build a business on our platform. And so the fact that we are a neutral third party, we're not a marketplace, we're not selling anything, is really a big advantage. The other thing that's a big advantage for us is we partner at that lead sponsor operator level. And what that does is it enables us to really enable the technology that makes this 10 times more expensive, 10 times less expensive, 10 times faster, and completely turnkey. It really starts with us working at that lead sponsor level. So when a deal comes to market, we upload it onto our platform. It makes it really easy for fund managers to raise money for that deal. So I'd say that those are two of the big differentiators out in the market and what makes us unique.
Are you looking to build sustainable wealth and achieve financial freedom? Viking Capital can help you do just that through multifamily investing. With a team of seasoned real estate experts, Viking Capital conducts deep financial analysis and data-driven asset management to deliver outstanding returns. Their strategy focuses on low-risk opportunities with significant value-add potential, preserving your capital while maximizing long-term growth. Join them and be part of a success story. Viking Capital has acquired 30 properties and manages over 6,000 units, all thanks to their dedicated team and valued investors. Discover their current deal offerings at vikingmultifamily.com and start your journey to financial freedom today.
Do you guys have any intention of trying eventually doing what you're saying you're not doing at this point and marketing deals, or is your goal truly to stay in the lane that you're in?
It's very much a value and principle at this point of TribeVest, a really unique competitive advantage. The beauty of being a neutral third party and not selling things, everybody on our platform owns what they're doing on our platform. The fund manager, it's their LLC, it's their bank account. Yeah, it's all on our platform. It's their investors, right? So we want to make sure that these capital aggregators, these fund managers own their investors because they can build a really nice business in real estate by being a capital raiser, by being a capital aggregator. So we're committed to being a neutral third party and protecting privacy and all those things. So yeah, it's definitely a competitive advantage for us. That's how we see it.
When you spoke, I think something that makes you guys also very special is that you did mention that you are a startup and that you are evolving with your sponsors, or you're evolving with, I think, client need. You're not like stuck in your ways. Like, I feel there's a lot of businesses who feel like they've been doing something and they're like, no, this works, but they're not willing to hear out other people. And I know personally from Chris working alongside you is that you guys have truly taken what the feedback people are giving you, or the necessity of something that comes up, and you guys really run with it. It's not that you guys are like, no, like, this is what we do, or this is what we've created. You guys are really willing and able to continue to evolve and to meet the needs of the people who are investing and trusting you. Do you guys have anything that's in the works right now, or anything that you guys are thinking about evolving or changing to continue to make it a better experience for your investors or your aggregators?
Thanks for that. Always, always. Like, we are always looking to move the needle and change the game. And it's also fun to work with other industry leaders. I mean, it was great having dinner with you and Chris and a few of our other partners that I see truly as, innovators and leaders themselves in this industry in terms of activating this fund manager, this capital aggregator, empowering them to build their business. And so it's just fun to be with that mindset. And yes, it's always about innovating. We've doubled down on the back office. We always say, like, we want to own and be the best at the things that no one wants to do, the ugly, the messy. We are proud to be the least sexy company out there, right? So, and that's the back office. So we're doing the documents, we're doing the banking, we're doing the cap table, we're doing the distributions, we're doing the taxes. So we just continue to double down there, and we're getting ready to launch a new product set called Trident, which we think is going to absolutely change the game once again and kind of connect some of the front end tools needed in the market from a fund manager, capital aggregator perspective, and even giving them more tools to build their business. So yeah, lots of innovation happening, again, and a lot of it with our partners like Viking.
Amazing. When you look at 2026, where do you see fund to funds going? How do you feel like TribeVest is going to change and evolve and hopefully grow?
We are really riding a wave and trying to keep up with this new market of capital raisers. It's a fast growing profession. It's a fast, growing segment, a fast growing stakeholder in the ecosystem. And so we're going to go as far as that industry will go. And we think we're really at the infancy of it. I compare it to Airbnb, right? Before Airbnb, short-term rentals were very much a niche, maybe 10,000 listings, maybe 1,000 different companies or people making a business of short-term rentals. A lot of that work was being done on Craigslist and things like that. And then when Airbnb, launched their platform, they brought a platform that made it easy to run a short-term rental business. And now there's over 5 million hosts, real estatePreneurs that are now building a business on Airbnb and other platforms, but Airbnb is kind of that leader. And that's like thrilling. I mean, to go from thousands to millions of people that are now building a business on that platform, it's incredible. And that's what we're doing at TribeVest. Yes, we want to impact millions of investors. At the end of the day, it always comes back to the end investor. And there's going to be millions of end investors investing through TribeVest, through their super connector, their fund to fund, right? But we're so excited about how we're giving that fund manager, that super connector, that capital aggregator, that capital raiser, the ability to truly build a cash flowing business that they can scale. You think of 2026, we know who the hero is in the real estate industry. And it's this super connector, and we're going to empower them and give them a way to build a business.
Do you think that you are going to stay within the real estate or multifamily asset class, or do you guys have ambitions to maybe move into some other asset classes?
We have big ambitions. So it's certainly a great market to start in because it's huge and we can build a very big business. But our goal is to take the infrastructure that we have, and real estate's kind of the beachhead for us. If we kind of think about it, you need to focus and go deep into an industry. We're doing that with real estate. But if you think about it, Samantha, all the things that we're doing transfers to other industries. We see ourselves being a big company and truly putting a dent in the universe. We're just getting started.
That's amazing. What are some of the one or two of the mistakes that you've learned from in the last 5 years?
Oh my goodness. One or two. First, I think, as far as advice goes, I think the one really smart thing we did out of the gate was realize that as an innovative startup, to give ourselves the freedom and benefit of a pre-mortem, meaning we know that we're learning and we're going fast, and it's about running into the brick wall as soon as possible. It's about tripping as quickly as possible. And so we've always had this lean startup, and I credit Eric Rise from the Lean Startup, which is very much part of our DNA, to go fail fast, build, measure, learn, and just this constant. So literally thousands and thousands of hard lessons learned, but all part of the process. I think the big one I learned was, number one, we initially were a consumer-based product, and that is really hard. It is really hard and expensive, but I'm glad we started there because it made us really good at what we do. And so, we started with the hard and we navigated to now partnering again with operators and these capital aggregators, and it's made for a really good business. Yeah, I think that I'll leave it at that.
Sure. So when you talk about being turnkey or white glove, what does that mean from the point, let's say that I'm an investor and I have decided that I'm going to invest with a fund-to-fund manager so that I can participate in this investment. What does that mean for me? How do I get started? Or do I have anything to do with you guys? Or is it just my fund manager who does? Kind of give us the relationship and dynamic.
Yeah, that's a great question. We're there to support the fund manager. So in a lot of ways, we're an extension of that fund manager and that fund manager's business. And we're really a tool. It's not quite white labeled, but it might as well be. And so we're working very closely with the fund manager. And of course, we're spinning up the entity. So it's professional, compliant, doing all those things. So it's turnkey in that regard. And then we're also helping with the onboarding of the investors. So you guys know well, onboarding investors and raising capital, very, very hard, right? So you need to be professional. You need a landing page where the investor can see all the deal docs and a data room. You need a funnel to make sure you're capturing their interest and commitments. And so we give those tools to the fund manager so that they can do this in a professional and, again, turnkey way. And then once it's time for the investor to, after they've committed and now they're going to, sign the documents and wire the funds, proof of accreditation, all those things we're doing for you. Again, a little earlier, Samantha said, we love doing all the things that no one else wants to do. We focus on the ugly, the messy, so you can focus on the deal. You can focus on the relationship. And so that's how the fund manager works with us. And then what's the experience for the end investor? Again, professional, confidence, transparent, everything that they want in a investment experience, we're helping the fund manager deliver to that investor. And our goal is that, investors that are investing through the TribeVest platform love it so much that like they're insistent of it. Like they don't even want to do a deal unless it's, through TribeVest, because that's where all their other investments are. That's where their reporting is. That's where their bank account is and all those things. The end investor, first of all, would have never invested in these deals without the fund manager. And TribeVest, made that experience a good one.
Amazing. Well, I think that's actually a very good compliment to you all too, that they're coming back for more, right? Like you're having repeat, which is, I think, one of the absolutes for any investor or investment firm is if you're having people coming back to you, it means you're doing something right.
Agreed. And we like to think we have a little something to do with it. But again, we credit the fund managers and our partners, the trust transfers, right? I think one thing that we've learned is new investors are sold into new markets or new deals. There's 10 million investors. There's 20 million accredited investors. 10 million of them want to be investing 10 to 50% of their portfolio into the private markets. So that's 10 million. Less than a million actually are.
Wow.
Right? So why is that? They want to be investing in this. So it's a huge market. The real secret here, again, that we've learned is those investors aren't going to be sold a deal. That's not what's going to get them to have confidence, nor should it, investing in the markets. What's going to get them to invest in the private markets is someone that they know, like, and trust, that pulls them with them, that's experienced, has those relationships with the operator. And so again, I always kind of bring it back to the real hero in this ecosystem, and that's that super connector, that's that aggregator. And we like to think we have a little bit to do with the success, but really the credit goes to this, super connector.
Well, my last question for you is, let's say I listened to this podcast and I've been thinking about wanting to start a fund to fund or getting my network together. And now I'm like, okay, thank God I don't have to do all of that. That was the part that was really holding me back. What is the first steps to getting a hold of you guys and then starting the process?
So first thing, we have a fund to fund guide, I think 10 hours of content on what is a fund to fund, how it works, and all those things. So you can go to our website and have that for free. And then you can also fill out a form, and we would love to have a conversation with you. And, I think the other thing we learned, though, Samantha, is, over this time, it was when and how do we bring value to the market? And what we realized is you need three things to happen all at once. Number one, you need a fund manager. So that's what we're talking about right now, that person that's looking to talk to us. So that's good. We have a fund manager. But number two, they need a plan. And really what I mean by a plan is a deal. They need a deal. So without those two things, there's there's not much you can do. And then third, that fund manager needs ready investors. So when we have those three things, we can really help you. In the meantime, we can help provide guidance, and we can also introduce you to some of our lead sponsors. Again, we're not a marketplace by any means, but if you're looking to get introduced to, the best lead sponsors in the market, we're always happy to make a handshake introduction so that you can start to build relationships with these lead sponsors, which again is the most important part of selecting a deal.
Absolutely. Well, with that, I want to thank you for your time. I know that for many people, this might have been like eye-opening to them who had no idea that somebody like you created such an incredible product and an easy way to start investing with others. So I think that first needs to be said. But secondly, I am so grateful for your time. I know that Viking is grateful for your partnership and for everything that you do for our investors and for our fund of fund managers. So thank you.
Samantha, it's mutual. Viking is absolutely a leader in this industry and proud to be in such great partnership with that organization for sure.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Travis, and thank you to all of our listeners. I appreciate it. And stay tuned next week for another great episode. Thank you for tuning into this episode. We truly appreciate your support. Don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review, and share the podcast with your friends. Until next time.